What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the James Harden to the Sixers stuff that's been going around the NBA the past few weeks. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on some potential trades that could go down if this happens, and I'm going to explore some of the options that the Sixers could take and some of my personal choices when it comes to getting James Harden here via trade. But for starters, I just want to say that I don't really think this is going to happen. I feel like we would have to give up Embiid or Ben, which I don't want to do. And these trades that I'm going to mention will probably leave out Ben and Joel because if we can get Harden without giving up one of them, I personally would love to do that. But again, I'm pretty sure that we'd have to give up Ben or Joel in any Harden trade just because of the value that James Harden has and what the Rockets are going to want in return for him. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about a few trades I could see happening if this happens, and if Ben and Joel are not included. So the first one, I actually made a post about it, but I think it was Horford, Josh Richardson, Mike Scott, Matisse Thybulle, and some first-round picks for James Harden. Now, I got a lot of backlash for that, and for obvious reasons, it wasn't the best trade. But my whole purpose for that was just the fact that Daryl Morey seems pretty high on Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and if he were to pursue James Harden, I would think that he would make offers that don't involve Ben or Joel. So that trade that I made was mostly just leaving out Ben and Joel because of what I thought about Daryl Morey and how he perceived Ben and Joel. But for the most part, I mean, the Rockets will be getting multiple first-round picks from us. They get Matisse Thybulle, young player, young guy, and if the Rockets do want to rebuild, which they may or may not, depending on if they start trading Harden or Russ. But if they decide to rebuild, Matisse and those first-round picks could really help their future. And then they'd still get a really young guy in Josh Richardson, a good two-way guard, good on defense. He can get some shots up. And then they'd also get Al Horford. They'd get a true center, and obviously he's not the best. We've talked about Al Horford in the past, but he's not the best. But they'd get a true center, and he can run with guys like Russ. And if they keep Harden, well, they wouldn't keep Harden because we would trade for Harden, but he can run with the offense. He can shoot. He can defend a little bit too, and I think he'd fit pretty well there. So there's that. And then I guess if a trade involving Embiid and Ben would pop up at some point, then it would probably be Ben and maybe some picks, and then probably another player, or vice versa, Embiid and some picks and another player. But personally, if we could get Harden here without giving up Ben or Embiid, I mean, we'd have a dynasty. No bias in that. I mean, a team with a top 5 player, a top 10 player, and then a top 15 to 20 player. I mean, not many other teams in the league have that, let alone 2 top 10 players. Not many teams have that. And yeah, you could argue Joel's not top 10. I think he is. And it might be kind of biased, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think 2 top 10 players, let alone, besides leaving out Ben Simmons, 2 top 10 players surrounded by some good role players and complementary guys is one key to success, and I think that could work out. Like I said, excluding Ben Simmons, but with Ben Simmons, I mean that's probably the best team that you could possibly ask for. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of the star hunting kind of concept, but ultimately we want to win. We want to win a championship. And we want Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to win a championship together. And I think bringing in James Harden it's the perfect formula. A guy that can create shots for himself. He can be another facilitator next to Ben Simmons. He's a scorer, as we all know. And the Sixers don't really have a guy like that. They haven't had a guy like that since Jimmy Butler. And it's been a solid year now without Jimmy Butler. And, the Sixers obviously are hurting from that. And James Harden would bring that. And I think that, obviously we'd have to give up some of our future. But if it's Matisse Thybulle, I mean, I'm gonna give up Matisse Thybulle for James Harden any day of the week. 10 out of 10 times, I'm giving up Matisse for James Harden. I'm sorry to anyone that gets offended by that, but I don't care because it's James Harden, and like like I said, James Harden to Philly with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is a ring, is a championship, as long as there's no other outside issues with chemistry or any front office issues or coaching issues, barring all that stuff. But James Harden to Philly is a formula for success, you know, and there's really not much argument to that. He fits. He would fit here well. He fixes. He meets our needs in terms of offense, scoring, shooting, shot creating, all that stuff. He fits our needs, facilitating, primary/slash secondary ball handler, depending on what his role is in the next season. But James Harden would fit really well here, and you could probably make the argument that he doesn't, but I'm making the argument that he does for the reasons that I listed. And honestly, like I said in the beginning of this video a few minutes ago, I don't think it's going to happen. Really small chance that it's going to happen. And then an even smaller chance that it's going to happen without the Sixers giving up Ben or Joel. But I would absolutely love it, and I know a lot of you would love it too. Most Sixers fans would love that. Even though James Harden's old, I mean not old, but he's older, he's 30, 31. And the window for us to win with him would be smaller, but I think we could get it done because, like I said, he fits well here. We already have two all-star players, all-league talents in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and then adding a top 5 player to that. I mean, you really can't ask for much more, honestly. I mean, it's just I think that's a formula for success. Yeah. So with that, I think I'm gonna end this video. It's a bit of a longer video this time around. I'm gonna be dropping some more once the season rolls back in. But for now, I'm gonna end this one. Thanks to everybody for watching, and peace.